Okay, thank you, Juan. I will do it very briefly. First, what you have to know is the City Council in Solingen has adopted our sustainability strategy in September 2018. And the process of implementation of this strategy, during this process, we involved the civil society and all the other relevant stakeholders on a very high level. And what we want to do now is to make sure and to transfer the commitment of all the actors and stakeholders of the implementation process into our development process that we are still doing today. And that is important to us. And we want to make sure and want to make visible where sustainability is lived in everyday life. And this we want to do with two aspects. And I have chosen these two ones because of the green and public space aspect in this topic. The first is our approach of places of change. And with this place of change, we present a wide variety of places and their approach to sustainability in the cityscape. And you can see here three examples. It's an urban gardening project in a neighborhood. For us, important is that it's not only a project from an ecological aspect, but also from a social aspect, to bring people together, to bring them into discussion, common working on this topic. You can see here. Another example is from a private initiative, the so-called Blue Forest. This guy is an entrepreneur, and he makes sure with his company that he he no longer provides free packaging with his company, and the additional income of this aspect he transfers into foresting projects in our city. And he also asks for the people also to spend money to reforest several districts in our city. And the last example is the so-called glass workshop. It's an empty shop exactly in the city center here in Solingen, with which we want to showcase urban products and urban production processes. And in this glass workshop, we bring together the civil society, companies, and also researchers to develop new products, new production processes with a key focus on more sustainability. And these places of change that we have in Solingen are all signed out with a uniform steel. You can see it here. And with this uniform steel, we want to give them a common brand. So oftentimes special private initiative, privates, and small companies are not able to have such a public relation visibility. And we want to bring them all together with this common unique uniform steel as a public relation support from the city of Solingen. And the other aspect I want to briefly introduce to you is the campaign made by the municipality in their function as an idol to come to initial sparks in the city to motivate others to follow this best practice. Is a tree sponsoring campaign with the title "People Need Trees and Trees Need People." And private and also companies are asked and offered in this project. They can ask for a tree, and the municipality will take over the costs for the tree, for planting works, and for a maintenance of 2 years for the tree. And it's about estimated costs approximately 1,000 euros per tree. And in a fortnight, we have 250 inquiries of privates and companies to to plant a tree and to take over to care for the tree also. That's the responsibility for those who will ask for a tree that the municipality will plant. And this is what we are doing here. And this tree sponsoring approach is one of the several approaches we are following here in Solingen under the aspect of nature-based solutions against climate change. And this also includes measures to redesign schoolyards, to unseal schoolyards, to plant more greens, to create retention areas to protect from heavy rainfall events, and also to build and develop green roofs. And this is, in a very short and briefly way, that what we are doing in concrete in Solingen. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Martin. Both are great examples, and also a really interesting initiative of how to involve and engage the private sector and small companies in your city in the SDG localization and work. So thank you very much for sharing those. I know that many of you might have to go, but I don't want to take the opportunity of anyone who wants to comment or ask questions. So if you do have any comments about these two presentations or the exercise, please raise your hand, and hopefully in about 10 minutes we can close the session for today. Would anyone like to ask or comment on any of the practices or the exercise? Sarah, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Krista and Martin. These were very, very good and inspiring example, and also very much aligned to the SDG or inspired by. So the point I would like to ask is about the time. No, the SDG agenda is written or agreed in 2015. Now we all localize. And here we have the point first, of course, the agenda was for 2030, but the work, I think in both of your presentation, it was clear it's very complex. You have many partners, the budgeting processes also sometimes are new. So this all takes time to get it done in an administration. And if you look into 2030, now, how do you think, for example, where could we accelerate that this kind of project, as you were showing, gets more scaled up and more usual? No, because I think both projects you send can be considered important pilots in your cities. So in point of time, is it possible to make all this faster so that it's more multiple, more possible to scale up? Thank you.
Okay, I can answer. Actually, the one thing is that in Estonia we have strategy 2035. This is the national strategy for SDGs implementation, and our city strategy is aligned with that strategy. So actually for us, it is not until 2030, but until 2035. The second thing is that before accelerating certain projects, I think that in order to accelerate SDGs implementation at the local level in general, I think it is the starting point, and the most important thing is that all sustainable development key performance indicators are incorporated in the city monitoring system, so that they are integral part of the city indicators and targets. So I think this is important thing, because that is the way how you can secure that SDGs are addressed in a holistic way, and that all SDGs are covered. And they are not something additional, because I think that very often some cities are struggling because internally, those who are not working with, those kind of generic issues, they feel that working with SDGs is something additional and boring and like they are overcrowded with the work. You have to make them to understand that so basically you have to choose how you are working with SDGs. We chose that we are working by saying that we have strategy, we need to revise all our indicators and targets, and by doing this, we are integrating SDGs into our system without kind of mentioning too much separately, that, oh, this is SDG work. So we are doing SDG work without, let's say, records, without that our colleagues are maybe recognizing that too much, so that they are not getting too frustrated when working with SDGs. That is the one thing. The second thing is that, some developments, and if you want to, when it comes to SDGs-based urban planning, then if you want to do it right, things need time. And sometimes I don't think acceleration as such is very good idea. And there are so many different components involved in that as well. So I don't have very good answer to, how, for example, those concrete project examples could be accelerated. I think that probably here the key is that these projects are prioritized in the city budget, in the city, that the project is agreed internally by all the different departments, and all of them know what they have to do and what they have to implement. That is the first. Second important element that supports acceleration is dialogue. Again, dialogue and communication, engagement of the people, and really letting them know and showing what will change and what are the positive changes when we will implement it. And also, I think that the third important element is the engagement of private actors and private companies, so that they it's kind of this public-private people partnership schemes. I think that is what we have to use more, so that there will be also financial, maybe even support and contribution, direct contribution from private sector. So I think maybe those are the core elements, based on my experiences. I might be completely wrong, I don't know. We definitely can accelerate alter the CAT projects, but when it comes to larger, let's say, developments, I think those are maybe the main elements.
Thank you very much, Krista. And I'm sure in your context, it's from your experience. It's definitely how it works. And now I would like to go to Martin to share us a little bit from his perspective as well.
Yes, I want to summarize it like this. Our Lord Mayor, in the pre-words of the sustainability strategy, he said one sentence, we have to start on a small scale to make a big difference. And that's what we have to do. We have to come to more action, to more significant steps in achieving the SDGs. And not only the municipality as an idol with a responsibility for the society itself, but everyone, privates, companies, and all the relevant actors on the city level has to be active and more active. And that's what we are going to show with these approaches and projects. We want to make visible what is possible, what everyone can do. And with this, we want to motivate them that it's not a problem, that it's not difficult to achieve all the goals. And in 2030, maybe we have to summarize and to say, this we could not manage and this we could not manage, but better to say this than to say, oh, sorry, we didn't start trying to achieve these goals. And that's what we're going to follow up here in Solingen.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you very much.
And one point, that's the reason why we applied for being part of the Global Goals for Cities project. But that's our questions when we apply with a expression of interest. We have adopted our sustainability strategy in 2018. Is it sensible for us in 2021 to be part of a project that mostly tries to develop in other cities a strategy, what we have for several years, and that is in an implementation and developing process? But we said we need every other idea from others to make more speed in our process itself. And that's why we decided to be part of the Global Goals for Cities project.